Hi everyone, and welcome to Rewriting the Foundations. I'm your host, Macy Miranda, and today we're going to be covering the literacy rate epidemic as a whole. Over the course of a child's school years, their understanding of text and context is key, but how much of the content are they actually retaining? In this podcast, delve deeper into social structure, class, and media as I uncover the facts of the U.S.'s declining literacy rates and the changing motivation for students while bringing forward the art of creative writing and fanfiction. Over the course of my research for this podcast, I've come up with three main goals of topic for this conversation. The first of them being social structure and the proven imbalances of literacy. My second was motivational rates and the natural failings of the social construct. And lastly, I thought about the implications of COVID-19 and the effects it has had on students today. So to kick off our first episode, let's get into societal structure and the imbalances of literacy. In an article published by Harvard in 2001, a study comparison between families of higher class and those in poorer cities and towns concluded the disparities between money, location, background, and violence has led to a higher dropout ratio versus graduation rate from the batch of schools they compared in the 1990s to the ones at the turn of the century. This ratio can be directly linked to education inequality. Educational inequality points directly to social economical status, also known as SES. This drives the proven imbalance in literacy. The result is a gap of interconnected structural failings in education, which were exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. This created a crisis in both literacy rates and the student motivation level. SES presents us with issues such as word gaps. Word gaps are created when children in lower SES households often hear significantly fewer words and experience lower quality language input into their early developmental years compared to those peers with higher SES rates. This difference affects language-related brain structure and foundational vocabulary, creating a deficit before a child even enters their school years. The SES system is unfortunately bound to a cycle that presents the clause that adults with low literacy rates are less likely to read to their children, spreading intergenerational illiteracy. This cycle is also supported by the idea that low SES homes are less likely to have age-appropriate books, quiet places to study, and most critical, the parental time and bandwidth to dedicate to one-on-one literacy development due to demanding work or career schedules and chronic stress. Following this, school systems are also the other major key factor into declining literacy rates. Events like funding disparities shaped the way students are taught. Schools in low-income areas often rely on local property taxes to support themselves, which leads directly to larger class sizes, lower amounts of qualified teachers, and the lack of critical instructional resources. With lower instructional resources, the lack of teachers, the funding for the teachers, and the school itself, this can directly relate to how a child is going through their education process as they grow and develop. Their motivational rates are also impacted by the natural failings of the social construct. The environment created by these structural imbalances directly ties to student motivation. For those students who are structurally at a disadvantage, the social system fails to sustain motivation for furthering their scholastic endeavors. Students who enter school already behind struggle to catch up and quickly develop low self-esteem and confidence in their ability to read, write, and learn. This leads to disengagement and the low motivation to persevere. Low literacy rates in adults stems feelings of shame and limited independence, with an inability to participate fully in civic and community life, such as reading ballots, filling out forms, and other. This is a strong contributor of denying oneself for further education, especially for those who have an interest in pursuing post-secondary education and even graduate level school. These poor literacy skills are being linked to lower income, higher unemployment, poor health outcomes, and shorter life expectancy, and feed back into the cycle of poverty and low motivation to engage with the system that has historically failed the victims of SES. The definition of social construct is an idea or concept that exists because society has collectively agreed upon its meaning, rather than because it has an inherent natural basis. So if I were to say that school is a social construct, it is believed upon in society that school is a necessary basis. So surely then by default, the idea of an equal education opportunity is thus also a social construct, right? Well, in a way, yes, but the execution of such a belief is questionable. Social constructs create policies and bases that have led to unequal educational opportunities. Society's shared belief in the value of intelligence and success strives students to reach what is considered the socially acceptable default of a post-secondary education, such as college or university. But in looking deeper, the social construct in the US and other Western societies is found in meritocracy, the belief that success is a direct result of individual talent and hard work. While it sounds positive, it has a dangerous downside. It implies that the failure of a student or someone in a society is a result of an individual level deficit. The sayings of, quote, they didn't work hard enough, or they aren't smart, and their parents just don't care, are encompassed in this. Moreover, they create the unequal opportunities through the system. The funding of schools plays into how the school uses its resources and which resources they get. Without the resources, there is no content. And no content means there is no single teacher that can uphold that class. Provided there is a school with the availability to cater to its students to challenge them with higher difficulty classes like honors level classes, advanced placements or AP, or gifted studies, does create a bias for the performance of a school. While in good contrast, it does allow students more rigor as they grow academically, this does create an unconscious error in the motivation for students as they are encompassed by the workload, factors outside of school, and their extracurriculars as the student develops their transcript into high school. In addition, it also creates the race of competitiveness between students, pitting their knowledge against each other, and creates a strain on the overall fundamental concept, which is learning the content itself. So when a student is faced with the challenge of a lower literacy rate, in turn given accommodations to match their level and inevitably treated as less than, the student internalizes that social construct. They stop believing that they can succeed, making this the single biggest killer of academic motivation. The system itself socially constructs winners and losers before the academic race even started. As I wrap up this episode, I want you to think about your fellow classmates, or even your own children who are sitting at desks in classrooms. How can we allow their learning to stoop to such a level? And by no means do I pin this topic on any of their teachers. If anything, the teachers are struggling too. Finding a way to reteach the skills that these students should have had already is not a subject that these teachers had to cover in their experience. But surely it is apparent, as I have had conversations with my fellow teachers and my friends in high school, looking at the products of what middle schoolers can produce is quite frankly just sad. And yes, while some have had a great drive for their education, the quality and production of their work has visible issues. I'm not going to get too much into this topic this week, as we will meet again in the next episode to get a realistic understanding of how these students are progressing ever since COVID-19 and the change from being impacted by it. So as we part, hold on to this main question I have for you. Is the bar for education being raised to model and build our society, or is society adapting and growing and pushing the boundaries to make the education bar fit us? Thanks for tuning in, and I can't wait for you to be back for my next episode. I'm Macy Miranda, and this has been Rewriting the Foundations.